Good evening. Hello, ELC family and Avon Grove Charter School community. We are so happy to be here. We had two special guests last week and they were so excited to be here.
We actually saw them again on Thursday. They were here for all the fall harvest parties, and they got to see all the students in the parade, and they had such a wonderful time in all the classrooms.
Yeah, so hopefully we'll see them again. So this month starts our new month, so we are going to be focused on thankfulness.
Being thankful and finding all the reasons why we're so thankful for all of the opportunities that we have each day at school, at home, and in our community.
That's right. So all of our books will have the theme of thankfulness. And so today's reading is Junie B, first grader, Turkeys We Have Loved and Eaten and Other Thankful Stuff. All right. So I always loved Junie B. Jones stories, and my own children, it was their favorite books to read, as well as books that my husband and I read to them. So I'm very excited about this. Chapter 1, The Contest, Monday. Dear First Grade Journal, today is the month of Thanksgiving. At Thanksgiving, we draw a lot of turkeys. Also, we draw pilgrims and Native Americans. They are eating at a table, usually. Both of them seem to enjoy squash. I do not actually understand pilgrims. Their costumes look hottish and sweatish. This week, Room 1 is making a list of the stuff we are thankful for. After we get done, we will put our list in a school contest, and the room with the bestest thankful list will win. Also, we are having a Thanksgiving feast on Wednesdays. Our families get to come to school. Thanksgiving is a lot of work. Your friend, Junie B., first grader. I closed my journal and thought about squash. Ugh, I said out loud. I hate squash. May did a frown. Shush, Junie Jones, can't you see that I am still writing? She said. May is the girl who sits next to me. I am not thankful for her. Just then, my teacher, Mr. Scary, stood up at his desk. Boys and girls, it's time to get started on our thankful list for the school contest, he said. Can everyone please put your journals away? Yes, we shouted back. Yes, yes, yes. Then all the children slammed our journals shut, very happy. Slam, slam, bam, slam, bam, slam, slam, bam. Mr. Scary sucked in his cheeks at us. He made us open our journals again, and we had to shut them quietly. It was some sort of slamming lesson, I believe. Finally, he moved on. Okay, last night's homework was to write down some of the things that you are thankful for, he said. He picked up a piece of chalk. Today I will start printing our thankful list on the board, he said. We will work on the list today and tomorrow, and then we will enter it in the school thankful contest. A boy named Roger raised his hand. Do we get a prize if we win? He asked. I always try harder if there's a prize involved. Mr. Scary did a frown at him. We are not doing this for a prize, Roger, he said. We are doing this to celebrate the things we are thankful for. Roger tapped his fingers on the desk. So is that a yes or a no on the prize, he asked. Mr. Scary stood there a minute, then all of a sudden, a smile came on his face. We did not expect that. Okay, fine, Roger, he said. I was going to let this be a surprise if we won, but yes, there is a prize for winning the contest. All of Room 1 perked up our ears, because who doesn't love prizes, of course? What is it? What is it? We called out. What is the prize? Tell us, tell us, tell us. Mr. Scary walked back and forth, very thinking. He said he was really not supposed to tell us the surprise, but then, he did a wink. He told us anyway. The winning class is going to get a homemade pumpkin pie, he said. He smiled real big, and here is the best part. The pie will be made by our very own lunch lady, Mrs. Gladys Goodsman. After that, all of the children just sat there and we didn't say any words. Instead, our faces turned kind of sickish and we slumped way down in our chairs. Finally, I raised my hand. Pumpkin pie makes me vomit, I said. My friend Herbert nodded. Me too, he said. Pumpkin pie makes me vomit too. Me 3, said my other friend named Shirley. Me 4, said a boy named Lenny. My grandmother's pumpkin pie sits in my mouth like a big wad of goop glop. Roger looked at Mr. Scary. A prize that makes us vomit doesn't seem like much to shoot for, he said. Mr. Scary sat down at his desk and rubbed his head. Okay, let's just forget about the pie, he said. Really, this contest is not about winning a pie. This contest is about appreciating all the wonderful things in the world that we are thankful for. He looked around the room. If we're lucky enough to win, the real prize will be how proud we'll feel about doing our best, he said. A first grade class has never won this contest before, but I think this class has a great chance. You are definitely the most creative first graders I've ever had. Roger stood up. Now that I believe, he said. My brother Rodney was in your class last year, and Rodney is a dolt. Mr. Scary closed his eyes, then he rubbed his head more. This was not going to be a good morning, probably. Chapter 2, Some Thankfuls. Mr. Scary moved on again. Okay, boys and girls, let's really get started now. If you'll please take out your homework papers, we'll begin sharing our ideas. Who would like to go first? I quick pulled out my homework. Me, I shouted, because I have 4 excellent thankfuls, and I am not even kidding. Then I sprang up like a spring, and I started to read my thankful list. First, I am thankful for the turkey I love at Thanksgiving. Second, I enjoy the gravy. Plus, number 3, I am thankful for the kind of cranberry jelly that comes in a can. Only even when you take it out of the can, it still keeps looking exactly like the can. I looked at my teacher. That stuff is like magic, I said. I do not know how farmers grow it in that shape. Mr. Scary stared at me a real long time. I looked back at my list. Oh, and here is my favorite one of all, I said. I am thankful for the kind of biscuits that come in a tube, and then you bash them on the counter, and they come exploding out, and everyone jumps. Plus, also, my brother Ollie starts to cry. I grinned real big. That is just a fun bunch of biscuits. My friend Herbert jumped out of his seat. I can't believe it, Junie B. I am thankful for those biscuits too, he said. He quick grabbed his homework page and held it up. Look, see? It's right here on my paper. Exploding biscuits. After that, me and Herb did a high five, a low five, and a medium five. Also, we did a fist bump. A fist bump. A fist bump is when you knock your knuckles together. Sometimes it can be painful. May threw back her head at us. Oh, no, she said. That cannot be true. Both of you did not write that by yourselves. You copied each other. I know you did. Who in the world is thankful for exploding biscuits? All of the children thought for a second. Then, one by one, they all started to shout. I am too, they shouted. And my oldest daughter, Mackenzie, is thankful for those because she eats most of them when we have them. My friend named Sheldon Potts sprang up from his chair. Me too, he called. One time I ate 6 exploding biscuits right out of the tube, and they weren't even cooked yet. All of our eyes popped out of our heads because that was the greatest exploding biscuit story we ever heard. We looked back at Mr. Scary. His eyes were stuck on Sheldon. You're a fascinating little boy, Sheldon Potts, he said. Yes, I know. You keep telling me that, said Sheldon. Mr. Scary smiled. Then he turned to the board. He wrote the words, thankful list. Okay, Junie B, how about you pick out your top 2 favorites, and we'll start the list off with them. I stared at my paper, very thinking. Then I told him my 2 favorites, and Mr. Scary printed them out on the board. Number 1, cranberry jelly in a can. Number 2, exploding biscuits. He took a step back. Well, just as I thought, we're off to an interesting start, he said. He turned back to room 1. As we continue, if you've brought a long list, please just pick the 2 things that you are the most thankful for, okay? Okay, we shouted back. My friend named Lenny waved his hand to go next. All right, Lenny, your turn. Tell us the number 1 thing in your life that you are the most thankful for. Lenny yelled it out. Nipsey Doodles. He said real loud, I love Nipsey Doodles. Mr. Scary's face went funny. He did not move for a minute. Then, finally, his eyebrows raised to the top of his head. Nipsey Doodles, Len? He repeated kind of quiet. Really? That's the number 1 thing in your life that you're thankful for? Nipsey Doodles? Lenny nodded. Then he checked his homework just to be sure. Yes, he said, Nipsey Doodles is number 1. He smiled. They are tasty little cheese snack, unlike any other. Mr. Scary nodded very slow. Yes, I know, Lenny. I've heard the commercial, and I'm sure they're very tasty. But just out of curiosity, what is number 2 on your list? Lenny's face started to beam. Number 2, rainbow sprinkles, he yelled. All of room 1 started to clap because the whole world loves rainbow sprinkles, of course. Mr. Scary didn't move again. Then, finally, he picked up the chalk and he added Lenny's 2 thankfuls to the list. Number 3, Nipsey Doodles. Number 4, rainbow sprinkles. He stepped back and took a big breath. All righty, let's take another look at what we have here so far, he said. We have 4 delicious food items, don't we? But just remember, there are other things to be thankful for too, right, boys and girls? Right, we said. We thought and thought. Like what, we said. Mr. Scary chuckled. Well, for one thing, in our country, we are lucky to have freedom, he said. Freedom is one reason the Pilgrims came to America. He looked around the room. Did anyone put freedom on your thankful list? All of the children looked at their lists. Then everyone shook their heads no. Roger stood up again. We're only 6, he said. We don't really have any freedom. He thought for a second. I'm not even allowed to cross the street by myself. Me neither, said Shirley. I have to stay in my own front yard. Jose raised his hand. I have to go to bed at 7:30, and half the time it's still light outside, he said. Herbert stood up too. Well, wait till you hear this one. I have to eat cooked carrots or I don't get a cookie after dinner, he said. Just then Sheldon slapped his hand on his desk. He shouted real loud, and I am forced to take a multivitamin, he hollered. Does that sound like freedom? Mr. Scary quick held up his hand. Okay, calm down everyone. I get it, he said. He looked back at our thankful list. Then he nodded at us very thoughtful. Boys and girls, you are absolutely right. You are first graders, and you can be thankful for whatever you want, he said. This list should be exactly what you want it to be. Not me, not the contest judges, not anyone else but you. He smiled. Thanks for showing me that, he said. You're welcome, we said back. We are a polite group. Mr. Scary looked happy again. All right, who would like to go next, he said. And remember, whatever you say will be perfectly fine with me. Sheldon jumped up. Toilet paper! I am thankful for toilet paper, he shouted. Mr. Scary's eyes got big and wide, but he quick snapped out of it. And he printed the words on the board. Number 5, toilet paper, he said. Sheldon grinned real excited. We're gonna we're gonna win this contest for sure, he said. He did a thumbs up at room 1. Then all of us did a thumbs up back, except not actually Mr. Scary. Oh, so I'm anxious to see what other things make the list.
I know, that sounds amazing. I'm excited for that list.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking something else that I'm really thankful for is at State Road, the grand opening of the Collaboratorium happened this past Friday.
That's right, we were there and it was a fantastic event. Lots of parents and some legislators came out to support the school in this amazing new adventure.
That's right. So we're very thankful to all of the parents and the staff and the volunteers who really worked hard to make all of that come together. So if you are ever over at State Road, please make sure that you check in and see if you can tour the Collaboratorium. It's really exciting. I'm so happy for the kids over there.
And before we go, we have one little challenge for you for this week. So since our month is focused on being thankful, we'd like for you to find someone at school and tell them that you're thankful for them and why. So I might say to Mrs. Johnson, Mrs. Johnson, I'm so thankful for you and all the support and help you've given me in these first few months of school.
Well, you're so welcome. And I want to thank you for coming in as a new staff member to ELC and jumping right in there and becoming a part of the ELC family so quickly.
Absolutely.
And
thank you.
You're welcome.
So we challenge you to find someone and give them a hearty thanks.
All right. Well, you guys have a great evening and we will see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.